How's it going, guys? My name is Dankiewizard and welcome back to another video. So I pride myself on being a bit of a builder. That's always what I've tried to do the most, is just build stuff, since I'm not all that good at redstone. But what I thought I'd do today is I'd sort of put that to the test, sort of show you guys what I can do and make some one chunk build. So today in front of me I have a few chunks of different builds that we're going to do. And we're going to start off over here with the medieval, right? So kind of your standard Minecraft style. A lot of people tend to gravitate towards this style, but I'm going to whip some up real quick, sort of see what we can do in one chunk, alright? So as we start off the build, you can see me sort of framing out the shape of the building that I'm going for. This is actually a very important step with any kind of build that you're going to do, even on small scale ones like this. It is always going to be super helpful in checking the sizes of any kind of buildings that you're going to add in. So I decided to go for more of a castle instead of the cottage sort of theme for the medieval, and I think that that style was pretty well reflected. You've got the gatehouse up in the front as well as the actual main castle building behind it, and I'm framing the castle with these shaved wood logs as well as some darker ones that you'll see in just 1 minute as I put in the balcony. For the building itself, I'm going for a stone block with an andesite touch around the edge, as well as some stone brick stairs around the tops and the bottoms. This way it adds some nice depth to the building. I'm also continuing the roof design with the wood and the cobblestone stair bricks. That way it gives it, again, a nice little depth up on the roof as well. And doing some finishing touches here right now, we've got the brick chimneys coming up. We got 2 of them, and we also added a bit of a dilapidated effect on it with the additional stair blocks, and just adding some more finishing touches right here with some lights and some hay up in the tops. I was going to add some flags, but I eventually scrapped that idea. And here we have the finished product, again with the gatehouse up in the front and the building up behind it with the nice chimneys and the light sources kind of giving it a nice warm medieval feel. Alright, and with the first build out of the way, let's just take a quick little tour of it. We've just got a little gatehouse right up here, and the castle is followed soon behind it. Obviously, just being a one chunk build, there's not a whole lot of room for a lot of things. I would have liked to add some smaller cottage buildings in here, but let's just go inside. It's just straight through the gate room and into the castle. I didn't really work on the interior all that much, so let's just ignore that for now. There's also a nice little balcony up at the middle section, and some chimneys at the top, as well as some little ramparts up here for you to defend your castle. Of course, there isn't any access to here, but maybe if you decide to download the world in the link in the description, you can always add that yourself. So moving on, we have our next build style, which is going to be actually one of my favorites, and that's Greek and Roman build style. I absolutely love the Greek build style. Now, of course, being one chunk builds, verticality is going to be key. So I'm thinking mainly, instead of doing your average kind of temple looking thing, I'm going to do something more like a tower. So let me whip something up real quick, see what it looks like. Alright, so I know I just said that I wasn't going to go for the classic temple style, but I did eventually decide that I was in fact going to do that style, just because whenever you look up Greek architecture, that's always the first thing that you see. But I did add a little bit of verticality aspects here by adding this nice rocky mountain that it sort of sits perched upon. In Greek architecture, one of the most famous buildings is the Parthenon, which of course everyone knows, but it sits, one of the best things about it is that it sits on top of this kind of rocky mountain called the Acropolis. That's like the first thing that you see whenever you enter Athens, even today, 3,000 years after the Greeks were in power. So I'm just adding on the actual temple itself, but instead of just going with a straight rectangular style, I am adding a little bit of temple that kind of juts out from the side. This way it just doesn't look quite so flat, and I am going for brick on the roofs. If you look at the pictures of the Parthenon now, its roofs have obviously crumbled, and it really just looks like a bunch of pillars now. But back in the day, this is what it is supposed to have looked like. A lot of the Greek builds had red roofs. I also added a small little smaller building up on the top. This isn't anything that you normally see in Greek architecture, but it is sort of a throwback to, my country, the US of A. If you go into Washington, D.C., you do see a lot of builds like that. As for the interior, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have no idea what these things are supposed to look like on the inside, but I added some walls on the side, and I sort of gave it a nice little overarching feel with some more quartz. As for the hole that was in the little Acropolis that you built, you're probably wondering what we're doing there. Well, that's actually going to be more for the Roman side of things. Whenever I think of Rome, especially modern day Rome, I think a lot about, gardens. I think a lot about plants. So I wanted to add a nice little kind of grotto with some water, some leaves, some lanterns in it to make it, give it a nice atmosphere on the inside. Give the building a little bit more depth. And here, of course, is the finished product with the pillars, the red roofs, the grotto, and the small acropolis. Added in a little bit more greenery around the rocks as well. Alright, and that is our second build done. We still got 5 more to go, but let's take a quick look at the Greek build. Of course, we got our classic temple style with our little archway up here. Added some blue and some green. I'm actually very proud of the little caved in floor that I made right here. I think it adds a lot of sort of natural age to the building. It sort of makes the building tell a bit of a story. Of course, we jump down into our grotto, and we've got, the water, the green, little waterfalls, the lanterns, and I also especially like these little bits of quartz down here. Kind of reminds you that this is supposed to be a Roman, Greek sort of getaway kind of place, as well. I also added some more green up there. But moving on, we are now getting to a build that I am very, very uncomfortable with. I am not one to make modern builds in Minecraft, so this is going to be a big challenge. I want to sort of juggle in between builds that I'm used to making and builds that I'm not used to making, which you'll see some more up there. But modern, even though I'm not used to making it, it does lend itself to the one chunk style very well, because I can make very vertical, skyscrapers, that sort of stuff. So we'll see how it turns out. This is really not my strong area, but there, it's done. Okay. So let me once again say that I'm not one to make modern builds, but I still thought, I'd do something a little out there, go a little crazy with this one. So I wanted to make this bold geometric statement and have these cool oblique angles on the skyscraper. So you can see that that's what I'm doing, and then I'm also adding this nice blue column in the middle just so it doesn't look like it's going to fall over, along with these stripes on the outside. I was originally going to do this white stained glass on the obliques, as you can see, but I eventually scrapped that just for white concrete instead. So the color scheme that I'm going for the skyscraper is like a white, gray, and a blue. Kind of looks very futuristic, very STEM kind of building. It looks like there's a lot of science that goes on here, being that it's like this cool, bold architectural place. And then, as you can see, I'm adding those little blue outlines around the edge just to make it pop a little bit more. And then I thought, hey, what if I just do that and do another kind of ledge up on the top? And I think it looks considerably better. And then I added some more details on the top, added some lighting, and we are done with this build. Alright, and that is the modern build done and completed. It didn't record for some reason, but I added some little lines down here, which is a nice detail. I think it kind of brings out the triangles a little bit more. I wanted to do something a bit more extreme, but I think it ended up looking a little more futuristic than modern. But I mean, it's still better than I thought it was going to turn out. So just do a quick fly around here. We've just got a little base building right here, and we've got these little stacks that kind of come up around the side, as well as these little floors. I imagine that this blue thing would be like an elevator or a staircase or something like that. Probably an elevator, considering how futuristic this place looks. But you can go and you can look out and enjoy the view. And it goes all the way up to the top, where you've got like your cool futuristic HVAC unit and your Hadron Collider or whatever you keep up here in the future. Moving on now to our next build, we have another one that is going to be very difficult, and that is the Japanese style. So traditionally Japanese style builds, I mean, I've done them before in the past. I haven't been super great at them, but I have done them in the past and they've looked decent. But normally they're very wide and spread out, which is why this is going to be very difficult for a one chunk build. And that's what we're making next, so let's get right into it. So as soon as I got into the mindset of Japanese and towers, I immediately thought, hey, I can make a giant pagoda tower, and that would totally work within this. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm making the main color scheme red and white with the greenish roofs that you see on a lot of pagoda structures and a lot of Japanese structures in general. It tends to be either this color scheme or a white and spruce wood kind of look, but I decided to go with this because it looks a little bit more traditionally Japanese. For the blocks themselves, I'm using red terracotta and bone blocks. It makes it feel a little bit more weathered. Doesn't make it feel like it's quite like it's a recreation in Disneyland or something like that. If I were to use the red concrete and white concrete, it doesn't look quite so vibrant. It looks like it's been through a little bit. I like it that way a little bit more. As for the roofs, I'm going for a dark prismarine and adding the final roof right up there. For the inside, I looked at some pictures of pagodas, and this is kind of what I came up with. This kind of dark wooden interior with a little shrine in the middle and some chairs, some lanterns, pieces of paper on the wall, and that's gonna about finish it up for this Japanese pagoda structure. If we take one more look around the pagoda, we can see some more details with the edges of the roofs, the lanterns, and the acacia wood fences that make it pop out a little bit more. Well, that turned out a lot better than I expected. Even still, if I were to go and redo it, I'd probably add a 5th floor because it seems a bit stubby right now. But if we take a look around it, I mean, it's pretty basic. I just decided to go for the Japanese pagoda style. I've got the red concrete and the bone blocks that give it a slightly more weathered feel instead of, say, doing red concrete and white concrete, as well as, you know, the lanterns and the acacia wood. At the top, I had this little thing up here that's in all the pictures of pagodas that I see. You're supposed to have like 9 rings around it, but I didn't really know how to do that in Minecraft without making it ridiculously tall. And I also decided to go for dark prismarine on the roofs. Moving on now, here's a really cool one that I'm looking forward to doing. It's Egyptian builds. So I think I kind of have to do a pyramid. Like, I'm required to, because I mean, if I don't do a pyramid, like, what am I doing? It's Egyptian. It's what everyone thinks of when they think Egyptian. So I'm gonna build a quick little pyramid and probably add some little details on it to make it seem slightly more profound than just that. So of course I couldn't just do a plain old pyramid sitting on the ground, so I had to make a little ledge that it goes and sits up upon to give it a little bit of height, also add a little bit of interest and give us an entrance into the temple that we're going to make later on in the video. I decided to go for white on the pyramid instead of something like sandstone, because I remember reading somewhere that the pyramids actually used to be smooth and white before they were deteriorated over time and they just became that sandstone structure that you see today. For the inside, this is where, you know, the pharaoh's body would be kept. I'm digging it out a little bit, making it feel like you're sort of walking into a cave, and adding the actual sarcophagus as well as some treasure, and, you know, making the inside seem a bit more interesting, giving it some reward for any adventurers that dare to go inside and get cursed or anything like that. I decided to go for just plain white on the top. I tried some other blocks, but they didn't work that well. And here we have pretty much the finished structure. I know it's a bit small, but I think it works quite well. Maybe if I were to do it again, I'd make it taller or add some more buildings around it. But that is the final structure. I also added this ledge on the back that gives it just a little bit more detail. Well, it's not the most glamorous thing that I've ever created, especially when you compare it to the last 2 builds. But I mean, I think it's alright. I decided to go for a more bold approach and do the quartz on the pyramid instead of something like sandstone, because I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, I absolutely hate the way that just pure sandstone pyramids look. I think they look hideous and disgusting, and I would never want to live in one. But I think the quartz does it quite nice. I also decided to go for endstone bricks instead of more sandstone at the bottom, just to give it a kind of a change in color, and also it makes it look more like a tomb, you know, instead of a naturally occurring desert phenomenon. On the inside, I also just made this short little tomb with a there's the pharaoh right there, as well as, you know, some gold and diamonds, stuff like that. These gold pressure plates actually make it look a lot more like gold is spilling out onto the floor. That way you don't have to make, you know, these 3 feet high stacks of gold at a time. Next thing we're doing, Nether. I have no idea what I'm going to do for this. So, yeah. So this is an example of how I build when I'm absolutely winging it, right? I always revert back to these columns and put some kind of structure on the top. But I'm doing that with the nether brick here, and I'm also adding some red nether brick behind it to give it a little bit of interest and depth. I'm also adding the portal going into the middle, but instead of just a regular portal, I'm making it seem like an actual mouth kind of opened up from the inside of the structure. And you can also see, you know, the fire in the background with the anvils that almost make it look like a little railing. It's a cool little detail that you can do for builds like this whenever you want it to make it seem, you know, like iron and powerful. And then I thought, hey, that kind of looks like a face when I add the mountains in it, and it kind of looks like horns. And I could totally use lava for the eyes too. Yeah, that's a great idea. So I did that, and I think it looks pretty good. Also adding some more fire in the eyes to make it look a little bit more hellish. Then I added this magic circle kind of thing. I thought it needed a little bit more of a mystical touch. So I added some of the purple, you know, since the nether portal is how you get there, and that is purple as well as this tower on the top. Originally it was glowstone, but I thought it looked too much like a halo. And there's the finished product. Just get some looks on the back and on the side. You can see sort of what I did. Added that tower up on the top to make it seem like, you know, that's where the big boss himself would live. And then the face out the front, always looking menacing, staring down at the adventurer, right? So I did not expect that to turn out the way that it did. I didn't even think about making the face until I started making some mountains there, and I thought, hey, those kind of look like horns. and I kind of made that. And I think it looks pretty decent. I mean, the face looks alright, and then I, of course, added this top thing up here. And I thought that looked alright, and then I looked at the rest of my builds, and I thought, wow, this does not fit in at all. You've got these other, nice builds, houses, temples, skyscrapers, pyramids, stuff like that, and then you've just got the shrieking hellmouth. So we're just gonna quit looking at that for a little bit and move on to the next thing over here, which is the mine. And this is going to be a challenging one because this is generally something that goes underground, not above ground. So I got to figure out a way to make an above ground one chunk build mine, and this will be interesting because I have no idea how we're going to do this, but let's try it out. Let's see what we got. And this is also the last one, so that's something. So as soon as I started building this and I started thinking of ways to make this in the chunk build, I immediately fell back to this poster that I had in my room ever since I was a little kid, and how that kind of shows different levels of, underground and mine whenever, even though you're looking at it from the outside. So I added sort of this cliff, and I figured I'd do this in 3 layers. So the bottom layer you can see is, stone, got the lava on the bottom. The middle layer is sort of where the mine itself takes place. That's where the players sort of set up his shop. You've got the chests, furnaces, TNT, that sort of thing. And then the top is where the player's normal house would be. I've made this crane so that he can, lower down the crates and stuff into the mine. I wanted it to look more like an actual mine. I don't know how I feel about the results. I added in some other things to kind of make it look like that poster I had as a kid. Lanterns, nether portals, that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the end product. I mean, I probably could have done better, but I'm also not quite sure how I would have done that. Being that it's a chunk build and that it's outside. Alright, well, say what you want about the way it looks. I'm giving myself points for being creative. I mean, it's the best I could do with an above ground mine, I think. I think if I tried to do something else, it would be a little weirder. But that was the last one, so that's going to conclude it for this episode. We're just going to take a quick little flyby here so you can see all the other ones. So we got the mine, the nether, the Egyptian, which I really should have put it on a ledge or something like that because that looks so stubby compared to everything else. The Japanese, modern, Greek, Roman, and the medieval. And that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please make sure to check out my friend Waffle Time. He's an absolute G. He's a complete Chad, and you should definitely go check him out because I know you guys are going to love his videos. If you like watching my videos, then you're definitely going to love his as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Dankiewizard. Peace out, guys.